So QR is a barcode scanning software. It stands for quick response. I have a smartphone and I use a program called Lynkee, Lynkee. And when you open up this app on your smartphone app, iPhone, or Android, then it uses the camera on your phone and it starts to look for these QR codes. I'll take you to this piece over here. This piece is called The Futility of Censorship, and it has been intentionally broken. We are responding to the Andre Serrano piece being destroyed in the Avignon, France museum. The idea of this subjective relationship to images is really what the point of this piece is about. So with Serrano, he was immersing a plastic cross into his own urine and blood. Therefore, we have the piece of his Christ. People are offended by that, and it's a very controversial piece. It got smashed in a museum in Avignon. We created this piece from a photograph that I did of a plastic Jesus submerged in, well, you'll see. So I'm going to use my phone and my scanning software and just going to detect the QR. So we have information embedded into this technological abstract, and it embeds it to go to our website. And it says, do you want to connect to the internet? And I'm going to say yes. It takes a second to refresh. This is the piece that is embedded in that. And we can see at the bottom it reads, you can't change minds with a sledgehammer. And we have a plastic Jesus immersed in a little fishbowl with a little orange fish there. Now, it's possible that someone could really be offended by that. That's the subjective relationship that we talk about. Potentially they're offended by the shabby chic frame that I used. Anything's possible. But it's that subjective relationship, again, to the images. So that's the futility of censorship. The idea of the object and the image being two different things is a well-known idea that was used in art. Rene Magritte has talked about this. This piece right over here, our title on the wall is The Treachery of Images, which is another title that Magritte used for the piece that we have appropriated in this piece. So let's go over and we'll use the scanning software to scan that big barcode, and it links to a page on our site. It takes a second for it to refresh, and I'm just going to turn it this way. And this is our reproduction of Magritte's "Ceci n'est pas une pipe," which translates to "this is not a pipe." Again, that idea that he was talking about was the painting is not a pipe, it's a painting of a pipe. It's a representation of another object. These QR are a representation of a representation, in this case, of Magritte's painting of a pipe. So the treachery of images and that ongoing conversation in the art world is that the real thing, it's an object. It's Platonic, this idea that goes back to the representation of something that is not the it. So we have a couple one-liners in the show. Well, first of all, we have a 1991 Chevy pickup truck bumper. This is real steel right there. That's the real deal steel. This piece, the label reads, "If you can read this." The QR bumper sticker that we have right there, I will scan it with my phone, and link to the embedded code takes a second to refresh from, and this is what, if you can read this, leads you to hang up and drive, which is actually quite scary. If someone is close enough to scan this, they really do need to hang up and drive. So, hang up and drive is our bumper sticker. To give the show some context, we thought about what is the historical component of the technology that we're talking about here, phones. I'll take you to the entrance, and it's always interesting when I engage people in the space. Usually it's in the center section, so where we've been looking. I'll take you to the entrance to look at a piece. The title on the wall is "Can You Hear Me Now?" I think Sprint made that famous, or probably someone before them. Everybody's appropriating from someone else. So this piece, when it's scanned, takes us to the link that's embedded into that code, and this takes us to the very first sketch of the telephone by Alexander Graham Bell, done in 1867. And he's got these like dog cone kind of things with people next to them and wires going. So I like this piece in the show that's using this technology on smartphones or iPhones or Androids, because it gives us that historical context of just what a phone was made for. This idea of communication, it kind of brings it full circle. There's a component to these pieces that that deals with the desire, in a way. So when you look at this, or when you look at any image, you bring everything that you think about the image. If it's a portrait of someone, you think about what they look like, or what they're wearing, what era do we think they're from. This is the historical component that you bring as a viewer and an audience. And I've dealt with this in some other pieces in my personal work, but this QR technology was a great way for me to again talk about this idea of the phenomenology of looking at things, and images in particular. These two pieces are, this is a self-portrait of the artist, these are by me, and then this is the portrait of the artist Stephen Rock, the Rock in RockDeMent. So for this one, when you look at this, the self-portrait of the artist, and if you think about your interpretation of those crazy artists, what do they do when they do self-portraits? I've had several people ask me if I am nude, or if I'm wearing a monkey suit. You just never know what people are going to think when they read that title. So there's that desire component of what will it be? And it's just a nice portrait of me. Got an eyebrow up. So, moving over to the portrait of artist Stephen Rock. Now, did he get naked in this? We don't know. Another sassy portrait of an artist. But we went all out with the lighting setup and the studio sitting look.